The night before his wedding, Dimba had a strange dream in his house. A beautiful woman appeared in his hut as she made love to him in his dream. Introduced herself as Mirimma, claiming to be the wife that the gods has prepared for him. In the peaceful village of Omodike, two brothers, Ibokwe and Obiozo, lived side by side with their families. Obiozo, the younger of the two, was known for his good heart and generous spirit. He lived with his wife and their two children, Ikemefula, a spirited boy, and Oledo, their precious daughter. While Ibokwe, his elder brother, has two children, a boy, Nnamdi, and a girl, Ifoma. With his wife, they lived together. Obiozo's love for his family and his brother was evident in everything he did. Ibokwe, on the other hand, was the prime minister of the king, a position that commanded respect and power, and the power which he uses in intimidating people in the village. Outwardly, he seemed a benevolent man, a benevolent figure in the land, but deep within, he harbored a mean and wicked nature, carefully concealed from everyone. The families live harmoniously with their wives, behaving like sisters, and their children growing up together as one happy family. However, the facade of peace was soon to be shattered by a storm brewing in Ibokwe's heart. One day, Ibokwe set his eyes on a fertile piece of land that he desperately wanted to purchase for farming. However, his cowries were insufficient. The rain had begun, and he saw an opportunity slipping through his fingers. Early in the morning of an Eke market day, he went to his brother's house to ask for a loan. "Obiozo, I need your help," Ibokwe said, his voice tinged with urgency. "I need to borrow some cowries to purchase a piece of land. I will pay you back." Obiozo, ever compassionate, sighed deeply. "Brother, I wish I could help you, but all my money is set aside to pay the herbalist for Oledo's medicine. She is very sick, and her life depends on it." "But this land is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity," Ibokwe pressed on. "Can't you help me with this for once?" Obiozo shook his head sadly. "What good is land compared to the life of my daughter? I am sorry, Ibokwe." Frustrated and angry, Ibokwe left in a huff. He went back to the land seller and begged for more time. But the land seller warned him that many others were interested in the land, and he would sell to the highest bidder soon. Desperately, Ibokwe turned to a money lender to gather the remaining amount. But by the time he returned to the landowner, the land had been sold. Bitterness and rage filled Ibokwe's heart. He felt betrayed by his brother and resolved to making him suffer. Consumed by vengeance, he went to the shrine of the great Ikuku, a feared native doctor known for his dark powers. "I want you to make my brother sick," Ibokwe demanded, "so sick that he will spend all his money seeking a cure and be rendered useless." Ikuku, sensing the malice in Ibokwe's heart, agreed. He performed dark incantations and released a sickness into the wind, directing it towards Obiozo's house. The next morning, Obiozo woke up unable to walk. His wife's cries of anguish echoed through the village as she called for help. Ibokwe rushed over, feigning concern. What happened to him? What happened, brother?" "I cannot feel my legs," Obiozo groaned in pain. "We must call Ikuku," Ibokwe suggested immediately. Hiding his wicked glee, He sent for the native doctor, who arrived with a selection of herbs. Ikuku administered the herbs, ensuring that they worsened Obiozo's conditions rather than healing him, which was the instruction given to him by Ibokwe. Days turned into weeks, and Obiozo's health deteriorated rapidly. His family was plunged into despair, spending every last cowrie in search of cure that never came. Ibokwe, meanwhile, continued to disguise his true nature, comforting the family while secretly rejoicing in their suffering. However, Obiozo's health continued to deteriorate despite the initial improvements. With severe wounds developing on his leg, he could no longer walk or perform any task, and the burden of supporting the family fell heavily on his wife and children. The family's finances were stretched thin, and it became clear that they needed additional support. Ikemefula, now a young man, decided he must take action. He approached his mother one evening. "Mother, I have decided to travel to the neighboring village to learn hunting from the renowned hunter Udoka. It is the only way I can provide for us." His mother, though worried, nodded in agreement. "You are a brave boy, Ikemefula. Go, and may the spirits guide and protect you." Unexpectedly, Nnamdi, the son of Ibokwe, approached Ikemefula. "I want to go with you," he said. "My father insists that I learn a trade, and hunting seems a good choice as any." Ikemefula and Nnamdi had always been close. Ikemefula agreed, and the two boys prepared for their journey. Their family saw them off with mixed emotions of hope and concern. The journey to the neighboring village was long and arduous, but the boys were determined. They reached the village and sought out Udoka, the renowned hunter. Udoka, seeing their determination, agreed to take them into his wing. Months passed as the boys trained rigorously. Udoka taught them not only the skill of hunting, but also the importance of respect for nature and the balance of ecosystem. They learned to track animals and set traps, and use various hunting tools. Their bond grew together as they support each other through the tough training. When they finally returned to Mudike, they were no longer boys, but young men, and brave ones too, ready to embark in their hunting careers. Their families welcomed them back with pride and relief. Obiozo, though bedridden, smiled weakly at his son. "You have grown into a fine, strong young man, Ikemefula. I am proud of you." Ikemefula and Nnamdi set out on their first hunting expedition together. They ventured into the dense forest, relying on the skills they had acquired. Their first hunt was successful for only Ikemefula, who caught a big game, but Nnamdi couldn't catch any game. They came back together. As they stopped at Nnamdi's house first, his uncle congratulated him on his first game. He then turned to his son, Nnamdi, who caught nothing and looked at him in anger. Ikemefula bid them farewell and went home to meet his family, but Ibokwe was not happy that his brother's son was the only one who caught a game. He was bitter the more towards his brother. When Ikemefula got home, his family were overjoyed as they celebrated him. His father, despite his condition, Obiozo's spirit was lifted by his son's achievement. The once gloomy household was filled with laughter and hope once more as Ikemefula gave his sister the game for her to prepare a hot pepper soup for the whole family. As Ikemefula and Nnamdi continued their hunting expedition, a pattern began to emerge. Ikemefula consistently caught animals, bringing home game to feed his family, while Nnamdi struggled to catch anything. Despite his own success, Ikemefula always encouraged his cousin, urging him not to give up. "One day will be your lucky day, Nnamdi," he would say with a reassuring smile. One particular day, Ikemefula managed to catch 2 large animals. On his way home, he decided to stop by his uncle Ibokwe's house and present one of the animals as a gift. Ibokwe, maintaining his facade of kindness, thanked Ikemefula profusely. "You are a fine young man, Ikemefula. Your father must be very proud of you." After Ikemefula left, Ibokwe turned to Nnamdi with a scowl. "Why can't you be more like Ikemefula?" he demanded. "He is always bringing back something, while you come home empty-handed. You are useless." Nnamdi was deeply hurt by his father's harsh words, but he swallowed his pain and promised himself he would try harder. The pressure and disappointment weighed heavily on him, but he was determined to prove his worth. Meanwhile, in Obiozor's household, his daughter Oledo had blossomed into a beautiful young woman. Her beauty and grace attracted many suitors, but the one who captured her heart was Dimba, the greatest warrior of Umudike village. Dimba, equally smitten, decided to formally ask for Oledo's hand in marriage. One evening, Dimba visited Obiozor's household. "I have seen a beautiful flower in your compound," Dimba said to Obiozor, "and I wish to pluck it." Obiozor cleared his throat and called his daughter to inquire if she approved of Dimba's proposal. Blushing, Oledo confirmed her consent, and the family began preparations for the wedding. Dimba also promised to look for a great native doctor that could cure Obiozor's legs after the whole marriage. However, when Ibokwe heard the news, he was filled with bitterness and jealousy. He couldn't stand the thought of his brother's family finding happiness and prosperity. Driven by malice, he visited the shrine of Ikuku once more. "This marriage must not hold," Ibokwe demanded of Ikuku. "Do whatever it takes to stop it." Ikuku, sensing the increasing darkness in Ibokwe's heart, hesitated. "You should leave your brother's family alone, Ibokwe. Let them be," Ikuku warned Ibokwe. Ibokwe's anger fled. "Do as I ask. You don't know what my brother had did to me. He must suffer for every shame that he has caused me," Ibokwe said to Ikuku. "Do as I say, and I take full responsibilities for whatever happens." With a heavy heart, Ikuku performed the charm to disrupt the marriage. He sighed deeply, knowing the evil he was unleashing. The night before the wedding, Dimba had a strange dream. A beautiful woman appeared in his hut, claiming to be his wife. She introduced herself to Dimba as Ugobemma. Then she made love to him in the dream. And when Dimba awoke in the morning of his marriage, he was confused and disoriented. Throughout the morning of his wedding, he kept muttering about his dream wife, calling on Ugogbe to come and be with him. His behavior became increasingly erratic. Meanwhile, at Obiozor's compound, the wedding celebrations were in full swing. Villagers gathered, dancing and making merry, eagerly waiting for Dimba's and his people's arrival. Even Oboe was there as he watched them with a sinister smile. As time passed and Dimba did not arrive, Oboe, their father, grew worried. He asked Ikemefula, his son, to go and check on Dimba. Then Ikemefula raced up to Dimba's house. When Ikemefula reached Dimba's hut, he was shocked to find him behaving like a madman. Dimba ranted about his dream wife, and chased Ikemefula away, singing, "Get me my Ugobemma. I want my wife. Get me my wife," insisting he was already married to the woman from his dreams, that she is a special woman that the gods have prepared for him. Shaking with fear, Ikemefula returned home, shaking. When he got close to his father's house, he wondered how he was going to tell them what was happening. Then he met with his mother and reported the disturbing news to his mother. She broke down in tears, her cries silencing the music and drawing the attentions of the gathered guests. Confusion spread as people began to ask what was happening. What is going on? Why is the mother of the bride crying? They said to themselves. Oledo, looking anxious, approached her brother. Where is Dimba? She asked. Ikemefula hesitated, his voice trembling. Then he explained what had happened to his sister. Dimba said he is no longer interested in the marriage. He believes he is already married to a woman from his dreams. The news hit Oledo like a thunderbolt. She collapsed to the ground, unconscious from the shock. The gathered crowd erupted into chaos, and the celebration quickly turned into a scene of sorrow and disarray. People scattered, murmuring in disbelief and in pity. Oboe watched the whole scene unfold, a twisted sense of satisfaction filling his heart. As Oledo fainted on the ground, people gathered around, trying to revive her back to life. Some villagers ran away shouting, "Abomination, abomination," because it is actually an abomination in the land for a woman's husband to disappoint her on the day of her marriage. While some of the villagers stayed back, trying to revive Oledo back to life. But in all this commotion, Oboe only smiled to himself. He was happy that the mission was accomplished. Then suddenly, his gaze moved to Ikemefula. Then he said in his heart, as he stared at Ikemefula, "You are next in line."